Hi, in this video we're going to be demonstrating the different workflows you can unlock by leveraging the bake customization options inside of the AnimSequence mode inside our Sequence Baker tool. So to get started, we're just going to switch to control rig and we're going to bake down our control rig for our animation clip here between the frame ranges of 0 to 57 as an example for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to just use the default options here. And a couple things to note is by default, we're going to be baking to this baked animations folder that's going to be automatically created with this name prefix. So with the default settings, we're just going to run this bake now. And you can see that we have this new animation clip that's been generated. It's also been plopped back into the exact frame ranges that we did choose for the bake down. And on top of that, we've also deactivated the original animation clip in the control rig so that we can properly look at the animation clip in isolation. So this is the default mode for all the settings. So a couple of other ways you can work is, for example, we can bring this back. For example, what we can do is we can choose to not keep our control rig track, and then we can add in a default rig. So the default rig on Manny is going to be this body rig here. You can choose either the default rig or choose custom rigs, which we'll show in a bit. So if we choose this mode as an example, we're going to bake down everything into a new clip. We're not going to remove this track. We're going to keep it because we have chosen to keep it, but we're going to deactivate it and we're going to add in the new clip as we did before. So what we can see here now, we can do a bake. You can see that we've removed the control rig track. We've added a new control rig track back in as layered, and we have our new animation clip driving the backward solve for our layered control rig here. So this is one other workflow that you can choose to unlock. So if you choose, let's say you don't want to use the default rig, and you want to use one or more different rigs, you can come back to here. Let's just get this back to normal here. We can also bake down. So let's just get our control rig back again as an example. Bake down our control rig. We're going to come back to here. So we can leverage one or more control rigs here as layered. So this is considered a layer stack. We have more than one, but you can also just use one if you really wanted to. So in this example, we're going to use more than one control rig, and we're going to have even custom layered control rig orders associated with these control rigs that we're going to be adding in after the bake has been completed. So from here, we're going to run a bake operation, and you can see that we have another clip that's been created sequentially after the original two examples. And now on top of that, we actually have two control rigs being added on top of this, which is both the body and a lattice control rig that we can use on top of the existing setup. And we can note here that because the lattice does not have a backward solve, when we do add it back, it's not possible to add it as a layered control rig. So it does show up as a standard control rig here, which is something that is unavoidable. But if you do want to make sure that everything is in fact in a layered control rig mode setup, you do need to go in and make sure you provide a backward solve into your control rigs to make sure that they show up as this color for layered control rigs. So a couple of other workflows we can unlock. So let's just get back to the starting position. So let's just bake out again as an example. We're going to come back to here, hit bake, come back to here, and we can also choose to not. We're going to not keep our control rig tracks. We're going to try to do some trimming here. So normally, if let's say we want to bake only between these inside selection handles, we can click the selection handle here, and it will automatically scope between frame 15 and 45 here, which what we have set with our selection handles here. And let's say we want to bake this out only the range between these two frames, but we also want to slot it in between these handles and make sure we trim out all the areas around it. Normally this is a very tedious task, but with one checkbox here with this trim animation track handles to fit new track, what we can do is after we bake, you can see that it swapped it in and it's properly trimmed off the areas before and after for the existing animation tracks. So this works for with more than one track if you really wanted to do it. So just as another example, we're going to do it without the deactivation enabled. So we're going to do this once more. So let's go back to here, and we're not going to deactivate existing animation tracks. So what will happen now is if we do another bake, you can see that everything is enabled and we have this perfect handoff from animation clip to animation clip that uses the perfect frame handles of the bake. And because we only break between frame 15 and 45, if we take a look at this, it is in fact only 30 frames, as opposed to these ones that have more frames in them, 57, 58. Yep. So this is one other workflow that is really useful if you're using multiple tracks and you need to properly splice a custom bake within a specific range. This will look through all existing animation clip layers and trim off the handles and slot this one right in between all of them to make sure that you have a good handoff between the animation tracks. And I think that should be about it for the different workflows you can unlock with this setup. If you can come up with more, do let us know, but these are the common workflows that we use when we leverage the bake customization workflows when working with our Sequence Baker tool. Thanks.